Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show. And here on the Total Truth Show, we want to help you break free from the lies and propaganda of the mainstream media, all the disinformation and misinformation. We want to help you blast through all of that. And my name is Ken Kleinberg, coming to you all the way from the USA, San Diego, California.
And I'm Aldwyn Altuney, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
There is a great awakening happening in the world right now, and you're going to want to come along for the ride.
A lot of lies are coming to the surface. There's a lot of awakening happening, and as this awakening is happening, people realize they've been deceived for years. They've been lied to for years around all sorts of things. A lot of people have been blind to what has been going on in the world, and now they're starting to see. They're starting to see things in a different light.
Through our show, we want to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass. And we don't want you just to accept the things that we're saying. That goes for our guests as well. We want you to do the research for yourself. Get out there and start questioning things. Start looking things up. Do the research. We want to pave the way for a new awakened world. And we want you to come along for the ride. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome.
Yes, welcome to Total Truth Show episode 109, and we have a return guest today, a very special man, a dear friend of mine who I've known for over 10 years, and he is actually 89 years of age, almost 90 in November this year, which is extraordinary. We're chatting about the truth about happy aging. Of course, I have my amazing co-host Ken Kleinberg with us from San Diego. How are you going there, Ken?
Doing great. How about you?
Awesome. Thank you very much. And now a little bit about our guest, Alfred Zerfas, who is also known as Fred. Now, he became a public health doctor and worked around the world in emergencies, nutrition, research, and care of mothers and their young children. He worked for governments and agencies such as UNICEF and Save the Children in about 25 poorer countries in Africa, Asia, the Middle East, over 50 years. He returned to Australia in 2006 to come home and help care for two key relatives. Now, Fred invented the insertion tape to assess nutrition of young children in emergencies. You may have seen the ad, and there's a photo he's putting up there. Thank you for that, Fred. You may have seen the ad for UNICEF and Save the Children, where young malnourished kids were measured by Fred's tricoloured tape. For this, he received an Order of Australia in 2023. And today we are chatting about happy aging, and we hope you'll get some ideas today also on how to deal with your older loved ones. Welcome back to the show, Fred.
Okay, well, let's start with a couple of songs.
Okay.
Happy talky, happy talk. Talk about things you like to do. You've got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, how you gonna have a dream come true, etc. from South Pacific. Another song, which I sang actually at a conference in Adelaide. It was a federal conference on aging, and I sang it to 400 people with permission. Growing old, growing old. I just love growing old, growing old, growing old. Can't you see me now? And everyone cheered.
Oh, love it. Oh, thank you, Fred. Thank you.
Just to continue, my first partner once said she can't wait to get old. I wondered at the time what she meant. Now I know. Growing old gives you a freedom to follow your passion without having other people's deadlines and control. You're now fully in charge of yourself, and you can go in whatever you wish to go. Aging, of course, continues all your life. But when you retire, R-E-T-I-R-E, you retire, R-E-T-Y-R-E, so your car gets fixed up and you can go further. So anyway, there we are.
Oh, thank you, Fred. Oh, I love it. I love the joy you bring with music. And I so appreciate you for reaching out. Some of you know the story. My mum has dementia and she's in a nursing home. And Fred has very kindly offered to sing some songs with my mum and my dad. And they've been the most precious times that we've had. And Fred records these sessions and he does this amazing Sings with Fred thing that helps people with dementia by going back to early memories of music and bringing the joy back for people. So I so appreciate you, Fred, and I'll treasure these memories forever. So firstly, let's chat about, what do you mean by happy aging? What does that mean to you, Fred?
Well, making others happy through pleasant conversation and compliments. I have a special connection with women because of my close relationship with my mother, whom I miss. I talk with her, actually, even after she died, and she's still in my heart, and I love her to bits. I like to strike up chats with strangers, although I always ask permission first, such as on a train, level crossing, or in my local park next to my back door in Brunswick. I always make sure they're not engrossed in activities or conversation. I never interrupt those who are busy on a smartphone or talking with their neighbors. I also look directly into their eyes and their faces for their response. I also love to sing, sometimes to mothers and babies, or even someone's dog. Sometimes I sing to a group of women in the park. Seems they could be receptive. I asked before, of course. Being pleasant and elderly means people are generally receptive to saying hello. I'm happy when I make others happy. This is why I started a program called Sing with Fred, but more about that later.
Great. And what is it that makes you happy also, Fred? So you're making other people happy makes you happy. What else makes you happy? Singing, obviously. What else do you do? Because at 89, you're extraordinary, Fred. I mean, you're like a 50-year-old. You've got more energy than, in fact, a lot of 50-year-olds I know. So what are some of the things you do to stay happy?
Well, two things: to stay busy, as I said, and have fun. The British way of fun about yourself. Laugh about yourself with your loved ones, not laugh at someone slipping on a banana skin. And I think having fun is so important in following your passion. And that's what I say to youngsters. I give them a little talk about like compound interest. In other words, when they start young and do something, it compounds over time, not just money. So that's my main issue, and through singing. And with a bit about Sing with Fred. What I found was I feel good singing, and I'm an elder, so I thought, well, what's good for me could be good for others. So what I'm trying to do globally is to get people to sing more to each other, songs of love and compassion and care. Because a lot of the music now is singing is entertainment to marketing, and people have become lazy. That's in the West. Indigenous societies still sing, and we have to follow their lead. So in Sing with Fred, what I do is I encourage people to sing with and to their elders and play them songs that they loved maybe when they were between 15 and 25, because that's the most impressionable age. In fact, I looked at musicals, because Hollywood musicals often gives good songs. And guess how many Hollywood musicals have occurred since 27? 2,500. And I know 500 of them, and it's fun because, anyway, they search for those songs. And they may play some music or tell them about the good times, when they graduated from college or got married or had their first baby or something like that. And with the songs, and they touch people, and they sort of recreate what happened in the past to the elders and say, look at this time. And I've done that with friends as well. And they come good. And in one case, I've got a video, and when the guy sang to his wife, he was about 80 and she was in a home. she was just staring like that. And then her eyes started to twitch. He started doing this. She smiled. And then she went like this, as if she was involved in it. And so music is absolutely amazing. And it encounters the whole brain. It's the entry point to the brain to find memory. Because once it finds it, well, you never lose your past. The recent memory is a problem. I'm talking about past memory. And the idea is to enter and stimulate your past memory. And once you've stimulated, then other things can come in, like photographs, reminders from some other people, and so forth, and the story. And the point is, I'm doing this generally I do it before people get dementia, actually, or even mild. I'm a bit mild dementia, I forget about things. But my mother always said I was an absent-minded professor, so that's all right. And if you forget about something, the best way to remember it is to forget about something else. And then when you're looking for the other thing, you find the original. Anyway,
right,
I've got this friend
exactly.
who's got me a lot more organized. And I think friends help. Having help is so important. So anyway, once you tell a story, then you can enlarge on it with photographs or whatever, music, anything, or videos, pictures. Anyway, and once you tell that story for one song, you can go into others. And these can be reinforced by your friends and loved ones. And then you can have a musical ebook, which is simply like an ebook, but it's got the songs and the stories and so forth. And I've started on these musical ebooks. If you go into the post office, you see these wooden boxes with colorful books with animals on it, and you press a button and the sheep bars. So this is like these books, so you can play. What you can do is play the song in the ebook, and you've got a picture that's relevant, and you've got the words to the song, and in the bottom you can have it audio or written, the actual story. And so the ebook builds up a series of stories which are augmented. If you've got an ebook, the best thing is to invite other people to add to your chapters, like Wikipedia. And so if there's more people in your ebook, the more people are going to look at it. Anyway, for elderly people, this is a legacy to leave behind. And if the ebook works, then you can get it printed and distributed and whatever. So I'm working on that as well. So that's all to do with Singer and Thread.
Beautiful. And what was interesting when we had the session with my mum and my dad in the nursing home recently, and you asked my dad, because mum can't remember, the songs from that she loved when she was younger, but dad remembered very well. And dad started singing to mum some of these Zeki Chorale songs, these Turkish songs. And I actually didn't know, as the daughter, I'm 51 years of age, and I didn't know some of these songs that dad used to sing to mum when they were younger. And it was actually really great for me also to learn a bit of history about my parents by actually asking, what songs did you enjoy as a kid? And I remember when dad was singing to mum, it was like he was a young kid again. It was actually really good for him as well, even though he hasn't got dementia, for him to actually go back and remember those beautiful memories. It's very special.
It's like a personal musical, like a Hollywood musical. And the interesting thing is, I remember when you said when you were a tennis champ and you were traveling by car to Perth and you used to sing those songs. And what you do is you actually rekindle the past, and you bring the past into the present. You don't go back to the past. So you stimulate it from the past now, and that acts on the memory. And the more often you do it, the better your memory. And what happens with memory, I'm told, it's not the nerve cell itself, it's the myelin around the memory that builds up. So if you want to play tennis like Federer, what you do is you practice his serve 1,000 times until you get it right. And then you go on to something else. And you keep stimulating that myelin. And the thicker it is, the faster the flow. So it's an interesting situation, yeah.
Yes, very interesting. And that's why Dad said, oh, when we drove across the Nullarbor going to the Perth Table Tennis Championships, we were singing all these songs. And one of the songs I remember very vividly was, the Gunda Guy. There's a track winding back
I
to
think
an
back
old
to an
fashioned
old
shack
wooden shack
on the road
along the
to
road to
Gunda Guy.
Gundagai.
And there's that song. And then there's My Boney Lies Over the Ocean. That was another favorite. My
Oh,
Boney
that's when we
Lies Over
started with
the Ocean.
the ocean.
My boney lies over the sea. My boney lies over the ocean. So bring back my boney to me. There's that song. And then there was Clementine was another one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
Oh, my
darling.
darling.
Oh, my darling Clementine. You are lost and gone forever. Dreadful song,
And
Clementine. Or
if
whatever.
someone says they can't sing, they can hum. And
Yes.
anyway, Tony Robbins can't sing. He's an awful singer, but he's so passionate in his program, he gets away with it.
Yeah.
So
And
you
yeah.
can talk a song, you can mumble, you can do what you like, but you have to stay connected. That's the important thing. No
Yeah.
matter what you do, you're connected.
Yeah, and people
And
worry too much about, oh, I'm out of tune or I can't sing or blah, 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 but just have fun with it. It doesn't matter. Just have fun,
that's right.
right?
You're not on stage. You're not performing.
Yeah.
You're having fun with your loved ones. That's the important thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And, interestingly, when I started to learn the ukulele, some of the first songs that I learned was Boney, My Boney Lies Over the Ocean, which I
Right.
didn't realize that my dad, the history of that song for my dad is that when he was learning English, so he grew up in Turkey, we've got Greek and Ukrainian background as well. When Dad grew up in Turkey and came to Australia, one of the first songs he learned to learn English was the Boney song, right? And that's why, My Boney Lies Over the Ocean, such a beautiful song. And I didn't know that either. So there's so much I've been learning about my dad and my mum by actually going through some old songs that they loved. And on the ukulele, I learned Boney and I learned the Clementine song, with the two of the earliest songs that I learned to play on the ukulele. And I actually sang them and played very simply on the ukulele, played to my parents. And it was such a beautiful experience to be able to just, sing along with them and actually play music as well. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's not just the singing and the words, it's the emotion that you have. You connect through emotion. And there's a friend of mine in California who does films, and she's done this amazing film called Connecting But Not Connected. Everyone's on a smartphone talking, but they're chatting away, but they're not really connected. It's something to pass the time when they're walking down the street or something like that. I'm not saying they're all like that, but all I'm saying is that we need to learn to love one another, because connecting is loving, really. That's all it is. It's exchanging oxytocin with someone else, And so I want the world to get to know each other better.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Even the politicians, if they start singing Parliament, it'd be a lot of fun.
It's a universal language. It doesn't matter. And even I look up it's actually My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. But for years we've been singing My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. It could be My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean or My Bone. Right. It doesn't matter, right? Just sing it however it comes out.
Bonnie Prince Charlie.
Yeah, My Bonnie. It says it's a Scottish folk song, and it's a very popular children's song. And interesting, when I was learning German at Mossman High School, they played that 99 Luftballons, 99 Luftballons, na 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 na. So it's interesting, as learning a different language is a great thing with music as well, isn't it? So
that's true. Yeah, that's true. And you could even sing symphonies. Just put the words in, do parodies. And that's the Going Home. That came from Dvorak's New World Symphony. That was Going Home, Going Home. You just change the words, and you can have. I've got a song I'm going to sing tonight with my musical friend. She's a much better singer than me. It's Ella Fitzgerald and Satchmo Armstrong singing "Would You Like to Take a Walk," and they harmonize and they chat with each other. So it's not really a song. It's a sort of a musical conversation, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Now, Ken, I know you live with your mum. Do you have any songs that you like to play together or sing along to together?
Well, it's been for me, it's been a little bit since I've done new song work. Just business has been booming and keeping me occupied. But on the side, I do have projects that I work on. So I have a couple songs actually I'm working on the side. I do tend when I get into writing mode with songs, so I do tend to write different things and lyrics and different things like that. But it's actually been a while since we've done any kind of songs in that manner. A while back, I had a friend who would, on occasion, every once in a while, depends on where we were at. Sometimes it was on vacation that we were at, and we would have like little worship sessions where we play praise and worship songs. And so that was wonderful. But yeah, I love writing songs. I love singing as well. I love harmonizing. I love doing all of that, and I just haven't done it in a while, just because things are booming and so much, with my business. But eventually, I want to get back to the projects that I was working on behind the scenes. So, like I said, there's two songs that I'm working on completing, and what I mean by working on completing is so, I'm actually recording vocals, I'm recording the guitar part, I'm recording harmonies, and all of that's me doing things. And then at times, like the platform I use, I can actually create an electric guitar sound. So I'm even recording that and everything and different things like that. But for the most part, I love, you know, harmonizing and singing and different things like that. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll record my own voice melody style, and then I'll record another track over it with a high harmony to add volume to that. So I don't know. I've been self-taught singing and playing guitar for many, many years. And it is literally self-taught, but about 21 years ago, I brought on board a guitar teacher that I was introduced to, not because I needed to learn how to play guitar, but because I had literally stepped into a rut with my guitar playing. There was always the same strumming pattern. It was always the same rhythm. And I just wanted somebody that was going to challenge me. Little did I know that I was going to keep this guy around for 20 years. So I had him as a guitar teacher for 20 years, if not a little over 20 years. And then he finally retired quite a few months ago. He retired, and so haven't had another lesson from him, which I do miss those, because I kind of feel like those lessons were kind of keeping me active in my playing and different things like that. And now I don't have that accountability anymore, but it's all right. I'll eventually get back to it. But yeah, I've probably written lyrics wise, I've probably written probably about 30, 40 things. And then, so what I'll commonly do is when I want to get in that creative mode, I'll pick one of those old things that I've written and I'll turn it into a song. And so, yeah, that's what I like to do.
Let me
Yes,
play an instrument for you
sure.
from the third man. Dun da dun da dun da dun. Dunka dinka dong a doo. Dunka dunka doo a dunka doo a dunka doo a dong. Dunka 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 dun. A dun 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 dun. Dun a dunka dun a dunka dun dun dun.
Oh, very cool, Fred. That was so great. My cat actually came over, had a little sing along as well. Then,
Right?
just that's little Pablo. He thought he'll get in on the action, and that's the thing. Animals love music too, right? Oh, I
I'll tell
love
you
it.
a little story about a cat. They're amazing people. My friend in Sydney, she had two cats, and one of them used to walk over my computer while I was working, and I took videos of it. Anyway, the cat died in a car accident. Only one cat
Hmm.
left. But I took the video and played it on the TV for the other cat to look at. You know what the other cat did?
What?
Went round to the back of the TV to have a look.
Oh,
I love it
oh,
when cats do that.
Yeah.
oh. That's beautiful, little darlings, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, I had a blast from the past happen the other day when on the radio came up, guess what song? We probably won't guess what song, but Boys Don't Cry by The Cure came up. And I used to listen to this when I was a teenager. So we're going back, 35 years. And, this Boys Don't Cry song, the minute it went, I would say I'm sorry if I thought that it would change your mind. It's just such a good song. And I was singing every single word. Like I still remembered, even though I hadn't heard that song for years, I remembered every single word in that song. It's so many memories flooded back when I heard that song. And it's a beautiful thing. Music is such a beautiful thing. And in saying that, I think also we need to be mindful of the type of music we listen to and what it does to our energy. Because back in the day when I was an angry teenager, I used to listen to a lot of punk music, a lot of sort of very heavy, dark music. Things like, well, the Smiths wasn't that, but, things like the Buzzcocks, a lot of punk music, King, a lot of early Nick Cave, things like King Inc. and all these like full on, the Cramps. And, some of these songs now I'd say, I'll probably still have a sing along to some of it, but some of it was a bit dark. And so I think now I prefer more happy music. So I play things like Santana. I love things like Jamiroquai. I love, Sade. I love Simply Red. I love, there's so much music I absolutely love. And being a entertainment reporter for many years, there's so many amazing performers out there. I love Coldplay. Coldplay is one of my favorite bands of all time. I absolutely love Coldplay. Chili Peppers, some of the Chili Peppers, like lots. There's so much great music out there. And I must say, I prefer the older music to the newer music. Unfortunately, nowadays, I think a lot of the art form of a lot of great music has kind of gone because DJs have taken over a lot. And DJ is its own sort of art form, but a lot of the original classic music, the Ella Fitzgerald type music, the Louis Armstrong, that kind of beautiful, soulful music that was actually, that had great morals. It wasn't just everyone sleeping with everyone and showing their bums everywhere and their boobs everywhere all over social media. Like, that seems to be like the norm now. But back then there was more class, there was more style, and it wasn't just flaunting your body to get more likes, So,
yeah, and to add to that, I visualize the music. So when I sing or hear music, I can see pictures in my brain, and I get the story either of the music or something that's related to the music that I like, and I get a lot of pleasure about that. And I think it's the way in which it's not just the music. And when I attended a workshop by the NIDA, the National Institute of Dramatic Art, they have these weekend workshops in Melbourne and Sydney, elsewhere. And I attended a number of these. One was how to act. And basically we practiced getting outside of ourselves into the other character. That's all we did. So we rehearsed the same scene all the time. And then how to sing at musicals. What we had to do, we had to focus on the words first and emphasize the words before we sang the song. So that if you listen to Frank Sinatra or Ella Fitzgerald, they're so excellent in their timing and their diction. So we had to sing to each other and practice on that. So, I love the music. That's all there is to it.
I
like to
Sinatra.
Yeah.
Love Fly Me to the Moon is one of my favorite songs.
Oh,
Fly me to the moon.
Fly me to the moon.
We can play among the stars.
That's why the lady is a tramp.
That's the lady is a tramp. Yeah, so many great Frank Sinatra.
When you hear that, you're thinking of someone like Judy Garland in a film or someone like that who's, in fact, there were two tramps in a movie. We would walk down the avenue, but we haven't got the steps. We would drive down the avenue, but we'll walk down the avenue. Yes, we'll walk down the avenue. Yes, we'll walk down. We're a couple of tramps. It was, I think it was Judy Garland and I think it was Fred Astaire dressed up as tramps in one of the musicals. So
yes.
it brings back memories. That's the important thing. And it helps your memory. It keeps you sharp. It makes you happy, and it makes your loved ones happy. So that's the whole. It's very simple. Just connect in ways that are nice and happy.
Yes, we definitely need more joy in the world. And a lot of people say, I just want to be happy. Well, one thing you can do is you can play your favorite music and have a little dance around. Another thing is there's so many comedies that you can just tap into online, play a little comedy, one of your favorite. And I love the old British comedies, some of my favorites, some of the old British comedies, and things like, I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, there's some of our favorites too. The Mr. Bean, George and Mildred, Red Dwarf, Young Ones I used to watch a lot when I was younger.
Fawlty Towers was one of my favorites.
Fawlty Towers, so good.
And that guy is still the guy, I can't remember his name, but he was the tall guy who was in charge.
He's Basil. Basil. The tall guy.
Was it Basil?
Basil.
He's still lecturing corporates on how to present. It's quite extraordinary. Even
John Cleese, the character.
John Cleese,
John Cleese. Yeah, awesome, absolutely love it. Now, Fred, were you always into music from a young age, or is this something you've sort of developed more as you've got older? You've really loved more music.
No, I used to have long playing records, and I think my sister also was keen on that. We used to play, and I just listened and sung. So, as I said, from the 2,500 musicals, I know about 500 of them. I didn't have 500 records because I could hear them on the radio as well. But it's interesting when you're young how impressionable you become.
Yes.
And I think the youth is sort of so pure. But they have to be careful when they get older, unfortunately, because I have a saying, in order to be sane in this current world, you've got to be a bit crazy, because you've got to know how the others live to deal with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's the crazy ones that change the world, right? The rebels, the renegades, the ones
right.
that, the square pegs in the round holes.
Take the freedom music. That's amazing, that music, because it stirs people up. And we should have more of that these days. Not enough. Music for climate change, music for all the awful things that are happening. Getting people to see the light, to see further than what's happening, and see the happiness ahead.
Now I'm curious, Fred, with your 90 years on the planet almost, you would have seen a hell of a lot of changes. I mean, you'd remember the early film photography days, you'd remember life before social media, you'd remember the landline telephone, all of that. I mean, would you say that people are happier now or happier back then, the way life was? What has happened with joy and aging?
Well, the difference is marketing. We live in a world of marketing, and we get bombarded day by day. If we see a movie, every 15 minutes there's 5 minutes of ads, and they're getting very clever now, and they use music and visuals. Take Coca-Cola, they spend $1 billion a year simply on marketing. And so, I mean, their product isn't any better than the others, but through marketing, they're doing very well. And marketing brings wealth to the rich, unfortunately. And it really, in our system, unfortunately, there's still a huge variation between the poor and the rich. I mean, India has progressed. I've seen the changes in India. They're sort of, in the old days in South India, someone would want to wait to see someone, and they'd be sitting there the whole day waiting. Now this doesn't happen anymore. The bullock carts are replaced by cars, and the middle class is getting a lot better now in their production and so forth. But there is 500 million people who are desperately poor, and you can tell by the rates of malnutrition. That's the best way to judge the social aspects of a country.
Now, In my experience, now I've traveled to a lot of countries as well, and some of the poorest people I have noticed have been some of the happiest, interestingly, right? Now we have Netflix now, which is full of drama, right? We've been conditioned to live in drama and live in fear. And, you know, there's a lot of angst at the moment around, is World War III going to be happening soon, and all of that, right? Now you've been to Africa, Asia, Middle East, 25 poorer countries. The happiest, oldest people you've seen, in which countries have you noticed these people?
Well, it's not the countries, it's actually the villages. They're the happiest. You go to a remote village. When I did the surveys, I worked at UCLA, and we had a project with the CDC, Communicable Disease Program. In fact, I'd worked with them on smallpox in West Africa before, so I got to know them. And the smallpox campaign, which the CDC was very active in, the people there became the nutrition section. So that's how I got to know them. And so we had a problem with ages, because in these countries, they couldn't remember the child's age. So we had cluster sampling, and we had to go village by village around the country. And so we went there the day before, and we met the council chief and his people and so forth, and asked about events, calendar events, and what was happening in the village and so forth. So we used that information to get the correct age of the child. But I stayed overnight with the chief. Sometimes I danced with his wife, had a bit of fun. I always ate their food and drank their water. Luckily, I didn't get in trouble. And then the next morning, I used to get up very early and see the village at work. And, you know, they were doing what they always do, and they were happy doing it. You know, cleaning the front, sweeping the front mat, and putting some, circling some pictures and drawings around it, and going down to the river and praying in the water, these sorts of things. And so I was able to see at first sight. Unfortunately, I didn't take any pictures at the time, but it would have been too intrusive. But I just felt like them, and it was absolutely amazing. And I think the simple life we've lost. Life has become so complicated these days that we have to get back to the simple life. And music is one way of doing it. Telling stories is another, but reliving it. And all my life, this is another little story. I went to a retreat in the Blue Mountains, and one of the people there, I took a lift back. I'd gone there by car. We stopped at a pub and chatted, and in 5 minutes, she made me realize it was okay to be different. My whole life, I was worried because I was different, because I was listening to other people all the time and not to myself. And you get these aha moments. It just happened by chance. And since then, I listen to myself before I listen to other people. And, you can't love someone else and expect them to help you love yourself. You've got to love yourself first. And you've got to find out your core values. And if you go online and write core values, you'll get a survey, and they'll tell you what your top core values are. Just Google core values, and don't pay anything. You get the result. My result was humor, innovation, and curiosity. So that told me who I was. And so my son has done the same. So you get a better idea of people's deep core values, and that allows you to communicate in depth with them. Because sometimes people communicate in a shallow way to protect themselves. And yet they shouldn't, because every person has core values which they stick to, and these are pure values. And if you're writing a book or an ebook, you can put the words down as you go along every night, things that happen to you and so forth, and you can record it, and someone can transcribe it and so forth. And about this was a conference in San Diego I went to. Someone presented, and they said, do this for about a month or two, and after 2 months you'll have about 200 paragraphs, and then you organize the paragraphs. And being an epidemiologist is very simple. It's person, time, place, process, emotion, result. So you put a few words in, or a word or two. You put the name of the person that this happened to, where it was, and so forth, and then you organize it, okay, and put it on a tree map or some way in which you can get some sort of idea about what you're talking about. But you get a friend to help you organize it, but you do not change the words, because your original words are the purest. And the minute you change your words grammatically, you change the emotion. So you don't change the words. It might sound a bit silly, but it doesn't. You can do it later on if you like, here and there, if it doesn't make sense. But the important thing is to put this down, organize it, and once you see it on a tree map or a mind map, you get an idea what the book's about, okay? Because it may be about more than one thing. It can be a series of blogs, who knows? And the idea then is the beauty about an ebook is, first of all, you never have to finish it. Secondly, you can put pictures, videos, and whatever you like in. Thirdly, you can invite people to add their part to the ebook. And fourthly, you don't have to pay if you just make a PDF of it. And if you want to, eventually you can make a hard copy book. So I'm suggesting to young people they start their ebook, because otherwise they'll remember it better. And it's like compound interest. The sooner you start something, the more effective it becomes, because there's a shallow thing you don't change very much, and after a period of time it shoots up. So if they start early, I started too late, unfortunately, but I tell young people about writing an ebook. The other thing I want to mention was when I turned 50, I went to a workshop over the weekend in Washington, D.C. I was living there, and there were two main things we did there that were really, really important. First of all, you had to put down all the times of your life you felt really good about yourself. You felt, you're uplifted. Something happened that made you feel, so I'm great. And it could have been personal, it could be health, it could be, when you achieve something, anything. So you just wrote them all down. And then we questioned each other, said, this is this and this and this. Because when you're with a group and you're doing something, it's good to question other people, because then you can organize and get opinions straight away, like a Zoom when they're talking together. So once you've done that, then you ask yourself, why? So for each of those items, you have to put a word, why, and then you list the whys. And my most common whys were something to do with design and something to do with being the first to start something. And design, because my mother, she used to do the costumes at the Strauss operettas in Vienna when she was young, and she designed hats. She opened a dozen shops in Melbourne in the 50s. So I think I got it from my mum. The second thing is being the first to do something. And I suddenly realized that I'm an ideas guy, but I'm a bit lazy in implementing. So now I've got all these ideas. I've got this web page developing called whatif.guru. And I've got all these ideas from my own experiences. And so my approach is, look, I've got these ideas. These are only suggestions of what I've done. They may or may not be useful. So take it or leave it. Do this in your own way, whatever you want to do. And so if you do something, just let me know. So I know what's happened to them. So I've got about 10, and I tended to talk with Alan Finkel, who's my cousin. He used to be the chief scientist of Australia. All my relatives are much cleverer than me. Anyway, he gave a talk about his life. And he said, look, the simplest way when you do something, there's just 5 things when you do something. What's the problem? How do you analyze this problem in terms of qualitative or quantitative? What's the solution? And how do you test the solution? And what's the result? So I've used that for all my ideas. And some I haven't got a result yet. Some I've just started, like training traditional birth attendants in Bangladesh. I've got a long story about that. I won't bore you with that. But anyway, there's been no results at the moment. But when I reported for UNICEF, I divided results into two places: process, which meant how many people have been reached and what happened and so forth in numbers, and result is the actual, how many children were who were malnourished, who became better. So I've applied those things to all that, and I'm working on that. I'm having a lot of fun actually, because when I do one, I think of another. In fact, I did this about 5 years ago, and I found my old notes. So I think it's fun for everyone to do that in your own life. And the other thing is, when I think about epidemiology, this is to do with health and disease. I'm applying it to everything actually, because it's a consecutive. A lot of people start with the solution without looking at the problem. A lot of people, aren't very clear about the problem. It's the basic problem. It's not the result of the problem. So they've got to get down to the basic problem if you want to do something. That could be a problem about yourself, your friends, your life, other people, or whatever, your work. So if you approach that and look at it in that way and share it with your friends and get them to comment, because they can help you. So that's a little bit about my philosophy. So there it goes.
I love that. And really keeping mentally active, being creative. It's a beautiful gift we've all been given, to be creative. And yet for so many people, that is so shut down. I mean, what we're doing here is beautifully creative collaboration project that we're doing right now. And, the simple things you mentioned, the simple things are often the best, right? The simple things in life are often the best for our health, the best for our happiness, things like, well, Ken knows all about health, right? The simple things like, clean water and fresh air and exercise, simple things that actually don't cost you anything are some of the best things for you. And if you look at people who live in the blue zones around the world, some of the longest, on average, the longest living people around the world, what are some things that they all have in common? Generally they do all these things. They have the fresh air. They have homegrown food that isn't full of pesticides and toxins, organic food. They have beautiful family relationships and bonds. They most likely sing and dance quite a lot, I would say, as well. And actually, I was just looking online. I thought I'll get some inspiration from our friends online about what are some simple things that are free that bring joy. And what comes up is things like having a gratitude journal or being grateful, meditating, listening to music, getting outside and enjoying nature, spending time with family, journaling, time with our pets. Right now, I've got my little putty cat here, my little Pablo's a little rescue cat. And he's just right here on my lap. And probably getting a bit restless because he probably wants food. But, like just having time with your pets, reading a good book, listening to your favorite podcasts, trying something new, watching the sunrise or the sunset. There's a sunrise and sunset every day. It's our choice whether we show up for it. Being in the moment, forgiving someone, exercising, cleaning something can be fun. Friends and family, dancing around. I went to a Living in the 70s band on the weekend, celebrated a friend's birthday. Morning coffee or tea ritual, playing a board game or playing some kind of game, Uno or, a chess or whatever game you enjoy. Sending snail mail to friends, actually writing a card to someone or giving someone a gift, reconnecting with old friends and reading. These are just some of the things that you can do which are absolutely free and that bring you joy. Except maybe,
in fact, having fun and getting out of yourself.
Yes,
and connecting in a nice way.
Yes.
I think that's so important.
Yes, being connected. Yeah, because a lot of people who age, particularly, they can feel very alone. And I think it's very important to have the social connections. And particularly, like I know with what happened with my parents, for example, married 55 years. Mum had a fall a week before Christmas. She's had dementia for 10 years. Dad was caring for her for the 10 years with dementia. Had this fall, broke her arm, and now she's been bedridden for 6 months. Now, what's happened in that time is that Dad has felt very alone because we've had to actually put Mum into a a nursing home now because it's too hard to look after her when she can't walk, and they can actually do a better job looking after her than my dad can. However, for him, that loneliness can be a real killer, not just the heartbreak. And now he's due to get his second bout of shock treatment where they basically stop the heart and restart it again. It's going to happen in a month's time. And he's 87 years of age. He's very fragile. And mum's 81, and because they've been together so long, and back in the day people did stay together for a long time, and then suddenly maybe something happens to one partner and the other partner can be completely at a loss. And dealing with that loneliness can be huge, and for younger people too, because we know that depression and suicide rates are massive, and often people feel very alone. And the thing to realize is you're never alone, right? The more connected we are with source, with God, whatever that is for you, that's been a huge one for me. Is the more I've had a strong faith, I've realized we're never alone. And these are some of the three biggest fears people have: is I don't belong, I'm not loved, and I'm not good enough, right? There's those three big fears that can happen. And as people age, we're talking about happy aging, people can feel sometimes as they're aging that they're over the hill, they're past it, whereas really these are some of the best times of your life. You've got all this wisdom from your life so far. And, Dad said the other day, it was hilarious. He said, life is like a toilet roll. The closer you get to the end of the toilet roll, the faster it goes, right? And it's kind of like that because, I know for me, I can't believe I'm 51 already. I feel about 30. And, I feel like there's so much I want to do, and I feel often there's so little time to do everything I want to do in life to have a full experience of life.
Well, let me say one thing.
Sure.
Bringing the past into the present, reliving your happy life, recording it through pictures, through touching, through stories, and feeling happy again. You can be alone but not lonely. For example, my son who lives in the States, we talk to each other just about every day, and we swap yarns and stuff like that. So we're connected, even though we're a long way away. And so it's a state of mind, actually. And the state of mind influences you so much. And you have to believe in yourself. You have to feel as if you're still connected with your loved ones, even though they might be a little bit behind. And even if it's a little bit, that's important. You don't have to take huge leaps, but even a little bit at the time, rekindling the memories with music or stories or pictures. If he takes pictures in when they were married and stuff like that, it takes a while, but it's worth trying. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. Ken, what are some other things that you do to bring joy into your life?
It's a great question. So what I love to do, there's a couple things. Over the last year, I've recently realized that one of my energy giving things that I love doing is creative work. So a lot of times this comes from creating resource booklets that I then put up on my website that are deep dives in a particular topic. And a lot of times when I create one of those, it's with a particular client in mind. Maybe it's something they're going through and it's something that I haven't really talked about or hit on. Then I will go do some deep research on it and I will create like a 15, 20 page resource booklet, which to that particular client I give for free. And then it goes up on my website for a small price for future people who want that. So doing creative things like that, it's energy giving to me. Writing in a book, creating frameworks on Canva that then further go into what I teach and different things like that. All that creative stuff is life-giving to me. Guitar playing, writing songs, all of that. The other thing that I love doing when I get the chance is, so normally, because obviously I work from home, so because I'm an entrepreneur. And so what I've started doing is, so 2 to 3 times per week, I will have in my schedule like an interruption in my day where it's like I go for a walk / light jog, around the block. It's usually about 25, 30 minutes. And I come back and I'm so refreshed. Well, every once in a while, schedule permitting, and I've literally watched God part the waters in my schedule for this. Is I will have an opportunity to actually drive down to the beach and do my walk slash jog at the beach, and then afterwards I'll sit there in the sand next to the ocean and with my bare feet in the sand, and I'll just journal, write in my journal and stuff like that. And that for me is life-giving, and reflective and absolutely wonderful. A story I'll tell around that is, it was a few weeks ago. It was on a Friday, and I'll never forget it. Like, in the beginning of the day, I was looking at my day. I'm like, wow, my day is packed. Like, there's no way. Because I was looking through my day and I'm like, is there any way I can squeeze that in? It'd be so nice to go down the beach and do my walk slash jog down there and everything. And I just remember kind of praying at the first part of the day, Lord, I don't see how this is going to happen, but could you maybe make it happen? I don't know how or what. And then slowly but surely, I watched my schedule. Literally, I watched God literally take my schedule and part the waters for me to get down there. It was the most amazing thing. So my later afternoon appointment rescheduled for the following week. Something came up for her. So that kind of was out. My first appointment during that day ended early. And so that kind of paved the way. And then my just top of the hour, my afternoon appointment, mid-afternoon appointment. So since my first appointment that day, all three of these were lengthy appointments. So my first appointment ended early. And so I saw the opportunity and I took it. So I called my, I think it was a 1:30 appointment. I called him and I said, hey, are you available to meet now? And this is an hour and a half earlier, than what he would have met. And he was available. So we got on the call, we had our conversation like we needed to. And then boom, I got off of that and I had the whole rest of the day available. And it was amazing to me to watch that happen. And I do those, and I love doing the grounding and the sand at the beach because I do feel the difference. Like as I'm coming back to the car and as I get stuff repacked back in the car, I literally can feel, it's very, very hard to describe. I literally can feel like this wholeness in a way that is very different. I'm very whole. I'm very put together. I'm very calm. I don't know how to describe it, but it's because of that grounding in the sand, which is actually probably the most powerful form of grounding that you can get. And I noticed a difference. And even I think last week I had a chance to do my walk slash jog at the beach and then had a grounding journaling session afterwards. I was there for a good 25, 30 minutes just with my feet in the sand and just enjoying, the sounds and everything else. And I remember again walking back to the car. And then as I was putting stuff in the car, I remember I noticed. I was like, this is amazing how I feel, just like the wholeness after grounding. Anyhow, all that to say, those are some of the things that I love doing. And then my mom and I often play cards together. We love doing that. We love going out to dinner and playing cards at dinner. What we used to do is we used to play Yahtzee on my phone. So we would pass the phone back and forth and we played little games on the phone. And eventually I think it was about maybe 2 years ago, we stopped with the phone thing because everybody does that. Everybody's attached to their phone, and I kind of wanted something different. How long has it been since you've seen somebody go out to dinner and actually engage by even playing a game or cards or something like that? So now we actually bring games with us. When we go out to dinner, it's not just a one-time thing or stance where we're there for about an hour and then we come home. We're usually there a good 3 to 4 hours because we will extend out the night. We'll play cards and everything else. It's so much more refreshing than being stuck on your phone or something like that. And so those are some of the things.
Beautiful.
Just some comments about that. First of all, when you said your hand in the sand, I was reminded of a film, Gladiator, when he used to put his hand in the sand and feel it. And it's really being at one with nature. And what you're doing is recognizing the environment and nature and God and whatever's good around. And I think the sound of the waves is really music. And when I go on a train, I hear the clitter-clack of the train, and that's music to me. So I think it's being at one with nature. And another comment is when you're talking about inventions early on, your creativity. No invention is new. It's just another way of looking at something that already exists. That's all it is, I think. So you don't have to come out with something new. You can modify. I mean, there's something on SBS Toys that changed the world, and it showed the big toy companies fighting against each other and creating new toys. So that's one thing. The second thing is that I think if you copy one person, it's plagiarism. But if you copy a lot of people, it's progress. That's the way I look at it.
Right.
This is a crazy world, I know, but sometimes you can get away with it. I'm glad what you said, Ken. It was really fascinating. Thank you.
Yes, and I love that too. One of my favorite things to do is to go for a beach walk and a swim in the ocean. In fact, I did it this morning. I went for a 90-minute beach walk and went for a swim in the ocean, and I love it. And then I go to my favorite coffee shop and just love that as a morning routine. However, first thing I do is I meditate for 5-10 minutes. When I wake up, I meditate. And that's another thing that brings me a lot of joy, connecting with my cat, connecting with the 5 chickens that I've just adopted as well. And yeah, so cute. Oh my gosh, these chickens
have you called them by name? I have a friend who
yes, they have
calls
names now. They do have
by name.
names. Yes, we
Yeah,
have
right.
names for them. There's
Yeah.
Blackie, Reddy, Whitey, Sparkles, and Wings. And the wings are not going to be chicken wings on anyone's plate. These are
right.
these are our little pets. So yeah, they're adorable. You know, connecting with nature or the birds. You know, like out at the cafe, there are a few birds. There's seagulls and little peewee, and you know, there's so much amazing stuff around us. And walking on the beach and looking at all the different shells and the different rocks and the different sort of crystals, and you know, there's so much beauty around us. And what we focus on will grow. And, you know, I want to thank everyone who's joining us live right now. If you're joining us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you are right now, I'd love to hear from you. What is it that brings you joy? What is it that makes you happy as you are getting older? And now, Fred, I want to chat about what is aging actually. Like, we know it's getting older, but what else happens, and what happened to you as you got older?
I was quite busy until I was about 2005, until I was 70 years old. And then I thought maybe I could still work for a pittance, you know, overseas and so forth. But I just felt a bit tired of doing that. And so I wanted to do something else. And that's when I went to Australia. And I fiddled around for a while, but I still was active. I did videos and interviewed people and went to conferences and stuff like that. But it took a while to work out what to do, because men have you know, you call menses, but there should be womenses and menses. So I think men have hormonal changes as well. But when you change the environment, you also change your attitude towards people. And the kids are grown up, there was differences going on and so forth. So I just felt that I had to do something new. And that's when I met a mentor. I think mentors are very important in your life. And the mentor, we love each other to bits. No sex, but we do love each other. And we exchange, she coaches me and I coach her. So I think it's very important to have mentors or coaches, whichever you like. Coaches don't tell you what to do. You have to work it out yourself. But mentors, they give you a bit of advice on what to do. And so we chat. She lives in Sydney, so we chat once a week. So I think it's important to have mentors. But the important thing is serendipity, and serendipity has helped me to be aware of change. And I think you have to be, when you get older, there are certain times, aha moments that got me in the right direction, but you can miss it. And there's a guy I used to work with on iodine deficiency in UNICEF, Baz Hetzel. He started the first health centre in Melbourne, and he became the Lieutenant Governor of South Australia. And he's written a book on that, actually. And he gave an example when he was in China meeting the health commissioners in Beijing, trying to sell salt iodization, because that's probably the most cost-efficient way of curing blindness. The commonest cause of blindness, a mental deficiency in the world, is iodine deficiency. Actually, it's nothing to do with cataracts and so forth, or other mental conditions. And he was on the table, and he saw a book about the one-child policy, and suddenly it hit him. So he told the guy that this would benefit their one-child policy, because people would become more intelligent and become better. And it clicked. And so the idea is to become aware of your surroundings, aware of who you are, what you're doing, who's around, and so forth, and not having blinkers. Too many people have blinkers. They can only see that far in your thoughts. It's not just seeing visually, it's seeing in your brain, and that's how they become influenced by outside people. You've got to see widely, and you've got to be your own boss. Don't let anyone boss you, and feel and love yourself, and feel as if you're the person who matters. And if you can give yourself to other people, your thoughts and your love and your kindness and so forth, you'll get something back. And what you'll get back is happiness. You won't get money back or anything like that. You'll get happiness. So I gradually learn things as we go along. So even at a late age, I'm a late developer, actually. So
Yes.
so I've still got some more to give. But I think when you grow older, you have a different environment. I'm not talking about physical health. Your muscles do waste a bit, and you get a bit more creaky, but it's your mind that's important, not your body. And the important thing is to prevent disability like accidents. That's the most important thing, because people who have accidents and become physically disabled become mentally disabled afterwards as a consequence. So in terms of public health, to prevent accidents is a huge amount to do, and that's through education. And when I'm talking about education, I'm not talking about general education, I'm talking about schools. And the schools, there's a great school in Melbourne where it's interactive learning. And they're not given knowledge to learn. They go through experiences. For example, when they study reptiles, there are actually reptiles in the classroom they can look at and monitor. So it's simply changing education. There's some, I think someone called Robinson had a TED talk about it. And he said, education is really to control the masses. That's what education has been. It still is to some extent. So we have to change the education, not to control the masses, but to lead them. Educare is actually to lead. It's not to give knowledge. So we have to change the way education, Ellen, my cousin, is actually is working in 200 schools already. It's going to the States of doing this type of education.
Extraordinary. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, as you say, keeping your brain active as you get older. And for a lot of people, they retire from their work and then suddenly they're at a loss. And this is where a lot of people die when they go into retirement, because they've got no passion, they've got nothing to live for. The kids are all grown up, if they've had kids, and they can feel very lost. And, for a lot of people, avoiding accidents, you said, I think absolutely crucial, because, one simple accident, like just in a split second, like, mum having a fall, like mum was stable on her feet. She was walking half an hour, no problem before this fall, but this one fall and now 6 months bedridden and in a nursing home. We were not expecting that a week before Christmas, but here we are 6 months on, she's in a nursing home, and it was from one accident, and it was under the care of a carer, which made it even worse. However, it went how it went. We can't change the past, but for a lot of people, one accident can lead to death, right? So I'm actually very grateful that mum is still alive.
Yeah.
She,
well, it happened to me. I've got some steps in my apartment and there's no rail, and I was in a hurry and I slipped down and fell on my wrist, and I crossed the road hurrying, and it was raining and slippery, and I also and I had the idea, and one of my ideas, of videoing yourself, getting someone to videoing doing the right way. So, for example, when you go down steps, you do one step at a time and you hold onto a rail and you look where your feet are. And when you cross the road, you see the traffic, and then you do a scan and you look, first of all, see your feet go off the pavement onto the road, and then you look across the road. And when you get across the road, you also, before you get to the second pavement, you look down to see where your feet are. So you actually look where your feet are, and that's prevented me from having any more accidents. And I don't rush. Just go slow, take it easy, one step at a time. So I think there's certain things that can be done in education, which is experiential. And basically, education isn't just for the kids, it's also for old people. And I think old people have to be educated in an experiential way. And that's why taking a video of themselves and looking at the video will remind them.
Yeah, and I love how you said having mentors too. Like when I met you, it was about 10 years ago. We met in Chiang Mai, and we were
That's right.
we were with
they had the fish that bite your souls.
Yeah, we were with a mentor at the time, and you joined my Mass Media Mastery program. You're our oldest Mass Media Mastery program member at 89, and really one of the most youthful, actually, with all our members. You have so much energy and so much joy about you. It's always an absolute pleasure catching up with you, Fred. And we've become good friends now all these years later, which is extraordinary. And we've done other learning experiences together as well with some others, fine-tuning our speaking skills, etc. Now, talking about mental health, now, what would you do if you had dementia or were getting dementia? What would you do about it? What tips can you give people around that?
Well, I've got some cash. I'd hire a carer to live with me. They might not stay overnight, but what they do is understand my work, understand my habits. It'll be, I would help her too, because I think I have some stuff to give her. I mean, there's levels of dementia. Depends on the level of dementia, obviously. I can dress myself, I can do all that sort of stuff, but it can progress, and I'll apply my music to myself and teach her what to do, and she can work with me on that and make me feel happy and help me do the things I love to do.
Yes.
But I certainly wouldn't leave. The other thing is I could stay in a home where I would have access to all the facilities. I'd be happy to stay in a home, but it would have to be a particular type of home. And there's a home there where I am actually that would be quite a good place, because when I was there, I visited that a week ago, and the important thing I noticed is that everyone was smiling and happy, and it was a great atmosphere. And I think when you judge a place to go to, you look at the atmosphere, and then you can ask other people about it and so forth. So I want my Sing with Fred there, perhaps, but at least the important thing is to know where you're going. I know where I'm going, and you're going with me.
Yes.
So I think you what do I say? you play it cool. You go with the flow. That's my saying. Just go with the flow.
And
don't hurry.
if you don't use it, you lose it. And this is where keeping
Yeah.
mentally active, having
That's
mentors, learning, studying, we never stop learning. We never learn less, right? As long as we're
That's
alive, we will be learning and keeping your mind
And
active.
a little bit at a time. Don't be too ambitious because then you'll get disappointed.
Yes.
A little bit at a time. Yeah.
Now, what experiences have you had in aging to make you happy, Fred? What experiences have you had that have really made you happy in your life? Can you think of standout experiences?
Communicating with my loved ones. I call them often and we say hello and have fun together.
Mm.
Singing with someone, working on my ideas. And physically, I think you have to do something physically. So I've started to swim again. And there's an exercise class I go to in the local bars. And actually, I haven't joined them yet. I will be joining them. But I sit on a bench and mimic them while they're in the water and have a bit of fun. So I think your physical state is very important as well. So, but I'm a bit lazy there. And probably the most important thing is to have enough sleep. I think people in the world are sleeping less these days, maybe 1 or 2 hours. And sleep is the best form of meditation. It gives your mind a chance to reorganize yourself. And I still wake up to pee, or I have a new idea. And I've got my phone next to me, and I used to rush and write it down. Now I realize I can use dictate on my phone while I'm in bed.
Yes, I do that all the time. I love it.
Yeah, it's so easy, and then you can download it, and then it's text. Obviously, it's not 100%, but it's good enough. So I think the important thing is, first of all, to be happy with yourself, and secondly, use that happiness to share with others. I think that still do it, because even though you're getting older and slower and perhaps a bit weaker, my mind goes about 100 miles a minute. My chest goes about 5 inches an hour. So anyway, but I think the important thing is to know yourself and love yourself. That's the most important thing, no matter what.
That's beautiful. And how much sleep do you get on average? What do you say is enough sleep?
I'd say about 8. I usually go for 8, but sometimes I get very excited and I can't sleep, so I try and make it up as quick. You have to make it up as quickly as you can. If you wait too long, you get some sleep deprivation, and you can get an infection or anything like that. So I'd say 8. But the world is now sleeping 1 or 2 hours less a night, and because the kids are taking their smartphone to bed, they're watching TV, they're staying up late, they're getting, so I think that's important.
Yes, I'm sure Ken would have some advice on that.
Sleep is one of the most important causes of obesity, lack of sleep. No one thinks it that way, but because they're not sleeping, they're eating.
Yes, so true. And of course, looking at phones late at night doesn't help you sleep any better either. So
that's right. Don't be a phony.
Yes. Now, what is your message to others like you, Fred? What would you say to others like you that are aging? Now, you don't seem to have many health issues, but I know you have had your health challenges as well. So what do you say?
Well, I've multiple health problems, but the important thing is they won't go away. You just live with them. I've got an enlarged prostate that makes it sometimes difficult to pee. And what I do is, instead of sort of going there and then finishing and going away, I take something to read, and I just sit there a while and wait, and then I can. And then when I drink a lot of water, I'm learning to distend my bladder, which helps my function. I've got copied from smoking all my life. Unfortunately, I stopped 20 years ago, but I should have stopped earlier. And I would encourage anyone who's here to stop smoking, because it's a nasty habit and it spoils other people as well. So I've got copied. I had a respiratory function test last week, so I managed to be all right, but still. And then I broke my lower back slipping on a bed. about 3 months ago. So I found out I'm 2 centimeters shorter than I was before. It's funny how you get height shortened, but that's gone now. And then I got scammed. Then I had a car accident. All sorts of things are happening. But luckily, no one was hurt, and I'm going to get a license again. So I think life is like a sine wave. You just go up and down. And the important thing is when you're on the top, you must make the most of it, because you know you're going to be going down at some time. So you make the most of it when you're on the top and anticipate that things are going to happen. And then once you anticipate those, you can live with them. And when you're down the lowest, you know you're going to go up again. So it's a matter of being a bicycle and pedaling away. So that's my theory about life. It's not a straight line going up and down. So I think the idea is to know your strengths and weaknesses. In fact, when I used to work with this guy in UNICEF, he was the most organized person I know. He was a Swede. And we managed to change the perception of nutrition, actually, from something in MCH to a development problem. Well, economists started to talk about nutrition. Actually, we got them to start talking and so forth. So he divided his working day into 15 minutes intervals, and he divided in those 15 minutes. He was exclusive to what he was doing, so checking emails, making phone calls. And when I met him, when I used to go to DC once every week or two to show him what I'd done, and we met every day when I was in New York. His attention to me was total, and I knew we weren't going to be interrupted, so we managed all right. And frankly, to do that made a really good, efficient use of our time. And I think that's important, that if you're talking to someone, don't think of someone else. Think of what you're saying and think of that person. And, I love the word empathy, because empathy is like when you're acting with the other person. So empathy is really acting. And what you're doing is being that other person, trying to be within that person, trying to communicate with them in a nice way, And so you harmonize together in your words and your expressions and your feelings, because feelings are the most important thing. Logic doesn't matter really. It's feelings that makes people happier, not logic. And so if you can get that feeling together and feel good about yourself, and they feel good about themselves, you get that double feeling together. And I think that's the most important message I can give to people.
That's beautiful. We're talking of, time and staying focused and feeling. I mean, what an amazing show this has been. We will be wrapping up shortly. Just a few more quick questions. What do you hope to accomplish and why, Fred, at this stage? You're 89 years young. What do you hope to accomplish for the rest of your life?
Okay, I want to change the world. And the motto is act local, think global. So I want to do it in a little bit in different places, and I want other people to carry on. And we did a study about the expansion of nutrition programs, and we found that if a nutrition program worked in some area, we wouldn't expand it locally because it worked in the area. What we do, we replicate it in other places. That's an option. There are other places where you can expand, but in that case. So what I'm saying is be a replicant of what you do. That sounds a bit like, what was that movie about LA in the future? Anyway, I'll think of it later. They rebroadcast it later. Anyway, I'll think of it now. I keep forgetting things. I'm sorry about that. They were replicants. They were people who were they were identical to other people. And the only way you could do it.
Like a clone?
Blade Runner. That was the movie, Blade Runner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that's what I hope to do. Now, look, I'm not going to do everything. I'll just do as much as I can and feel happy about it. And the other thing is, if you've got something that you think is worthwhile, you pass it on to other people to do it as well. That's important. That's the way you don't spread yourself around. You do it to other people, and it's people who are willing to go the way. And I'm still learning about social media. So you're amazing in Instagram. I think I have to ask you to help me again. But
Oh,
that's the important thing. You have to give yourself to others so you can spread yourself around.
and really make the most of the present moment with the ones that you are with, that you do come across in your life, I think is so important. Now, what advice would you give to young people about getting older and their attitudes towards their elders?
Well, there was a survey in Australia on this question, and more than half the people regarded their elders as only to provide resources. So we have to reverse that. And what I would say to them is um, approach your elders as people who have lived their life and chat with them and learn from them and listen to them and take care of them because they do need to be taken care of and keep loving them. I think that's the important thing. And we start with their family, start with their family. And that's the important thing. And listen to them and contact them. You know, don't wait 6 months at a time. And look, I think elders are willing to give money to their grandkids, uh, and be grateful. I think you don't have to say I'm grateful, but what you do is uh, treat them with respect, and 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 you can call them seniors if you like. But in indigenous societies, follow indigenous societies. The elders are quite respected and listened to. And so we have to go back to indigenous societies. There's a lot we can learn from indigenous societies, the way they look in the environment, the land, and all the rest of it. So we have to learn, and that's my advice.
Yes, my dad always said we can learn things two ways, either the hard way and do everything ourselves, or learn the easy way, learn from other people's experience.
That's right.
And
Yeah. Well, it's a combination, isn't it? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
our elders have so much wisdom that they can share. Now, you have a few children, grandchildren. How many in your offspring there, Fred?
I've got two grandkids. My son married an Indian lady. So one is lives in Delhi. She's a journalist. She came here to get a degree at RMIT, so she stayed here for a couple of years with me and with my relatives. She's getting married in December, and in her society, where we live in Mangalore, where they used to live in Mangalore, the woman is the head of the family. They're matriarchal society. So she's in charge of the family as well. And that's Yamini is her name. I call her Yummy.
Ah,
And my grandson is living now in Melbourne. He started a business making toys, and I've supported him, and he's presented in the exhibition buildings, and he's just had a son, so I've become a great grandfather.
grandfather.
And he's just had an order for 1,200 of his shakers from uh, from a spice company, and so he's just working on that. They actually made they're wooden and um, the dyes are natural dyes, so there's nothing plastic about them. And he's a designer, actually. He's a very good designer. He used to design children's playgrounds and stuff, and they're made in India, so quite close to where he used to live. In fact, quite close where I used to live, and so forth. So he goes backwards and forwards. And my son on that side is in India. He's a farmer now, and he was the child born to me from my first partner. And I've got another family. my current family's in the US. So we connect with each other. And my wife of 55 years, actually.
Wow.
We're split in distance, but we still keep in touch with each other. Talk
Oh,
about the kids, our jobs, what we're doing. She's a travel agent, very good actually, and busy. She's very busy. And my daughter was at the national. She was the banquet master at the National Press Club in DC. And she used to meet all these dignitaries, like, the one in Australia is a bit like that.
mm,
But she lost her job, so she's looking for another. And my son was a lawyer, became a health a health guy, uh, health exercise to help people exercise and stuff. I forgot
with
what they call those stuff. Fitness
physiotherapy.
stuff. And then he joined. He volunteered for Humane Society International. And a word for young people: if you're having trouble getting a job, volunteer to start off with. Then they know your face. Go to a really good company that has lots of future jobs available. Once they know your face and what you like, it's much easier to get a job than sending emails and talking on the phone. Anyway, that's a little bit of advice. Anyway,
Wonderful.
now he used to travel overseas to uh, to support animal-friendly farms and help them get investments. And now he's doing handbooks for small farms for investment.
Amazing.
So he's a
Amazing.
busy guy, and we chat with each other and work on each other. Anyway, that's where they are.
That's great, Fred. Sounds like you've got a phenomenal family there, and you're such a
Yeah,
great role model, not just for your blood family, but also for all those around you. We absolutely
yeah.
adore you. Now, with Sings with Fred, we're coming to the final parts of the show. With Sings with Fred, how can people work with you? And tell us a bit more about this. How does Sing with Fred work?
Just contact me by email and say they're interested, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a quick chat with them. And if they're interested, it's no fee, and I'll explain the ropes. And then if they're a younger person interested and they're older, we'll get together, them and their older, and someone else in the family if they like, and we'll go through the process. And the first thing is to educate what goes on, so the younger person can continue that, and we'll make, if they want to, they'll make an ebook. They'll make an ebook, and we'll work on it together. And at some stage, obviously, if it's a care home, then I might charge eventually for the service. But at the beginning, I see the beginning as a research phase. I'm learning as I go along, and I'm building up. I'll be building up things. So I'm getting active again. I started 3 years ago, and I'm resuming now.
Wonderful. So you could go there to singwithfred.com, SING with
Yeah, or
Fred.
they can go to my email directly. But if they can get a better idea of Sing with Fred, and there's a part where they can enter their names, and that will go directly to my email, and then I'll contact them by email, and we'll decide what to do. That's as simple as that. It could be an elder itself who's not demented and interested in the program. It could be a younger person. It could be someone from an agency. It could be a care home. Whatever it is, so different. And I see the difference between the end person, and I don't see an end person. I see an end group, because I think it works with groups, not just with a person. You need that group together to keep going. But my idea is to get the group or the person to decide what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. I can just give them some suggestions.
That's wonderful. So hop along there, singwithfred.com. Also there, we've got links to your Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, and LinkedIn, and the contact form there that will get through to your email on that website, singwithfred.com. And do you have a favorite quote or motto you'd like to share with us today, Fred?
Yeah, You know, the older you are, the longer you live. Do you know that?
Yeah, I love that.
Big advantage.
Every year is a blessing. I say, celebrate your
Yeah.
birthdays. Don't lie about your age, ladies, particularly that are 21 for 50 years. Just be grateful for all of it. So, there's a lot of people who haven't made it to our age, and a third of people die by 65, and 90% die with regret. So ideally, you don't want to be one of those people. Take on board some of the amazing wisdom we've shared here today. Before we wrap up, though, over to Ken now. Ken, how can people connect with you?
So, first of all, I am a Mastery Weight Loss coach. Mastery Weight Loss is my brand and company, and it's Mastery Weight Loss because it must be about mastery moving forward. You get to own the journey, and you get to become in that journey. And so, more on that when you actually connect with me. But I've lost 62.5 pounds, and I've kept it off for 7+ years now, all without a diet and having that be sustainable. And actually, right now, I'm giving away my 3 secrets to help you lose weight, feel energized, and get healthy without starving or dieting. In just 3 short one-on-one sessions with me in my mini educational boot camp series, I expose the 3 biggest lies that are keeping people sick, stuck, and overweight, because that's how that industry makes money. And I show them how to fuel their body God's way so they can finally break free and keep the weight off for life like I've been able to, all without a diet and having that be sustainable. And so to connect with me and join my boot camp, you can go to www.masteryweightloss.com/connect. And on that page, the very first button you'll see is the button to join my boot camp. It's very reasonably priced. You get 3 one-on-one sessions with me. These are not pre-recorded. These are so far, at this point in time, not group coaching sessions. They are one-on-one interactive with me. So you've got that. 3 other ways you can connect with me. Book a strategy call with me. Get on a Zoom call. Let's strategize. Let's unpack what it's going to look like moving forward for you. Connect with me on Facebook is another one. Subscribe to my YouTube channel is another one on that page. www.mastery, M-A-S-T-E-R,
Why?
E-R-Y. Thank you.
Mastery.
Oh my gosh. I totally had a brain fart there. All right. So that's funny. Okay. So www.masteryweightloss.com/connect. Don't mind me with my brain fart.
Beautiful.
And so I think mine's going to be more of a model today. So here's the thing. And I say this phrase all the time. In fact, I was on the phone with a client earlier today and I said this: mastery is not about the or a perfect plan. Why? Because you become the plan in your journey. So
Nice.
that is what I'll share there.
Thank you, Ken. Amazing. And for those who want to connect with me, hop along to linktree/Aldwyn, linktr.ee/Aldwyn has all of my links. Now, we are in July, the start of the new financial year. Here we are in Australia. In America, it will be soon, very soon. In the next 24 hours, you'll be into your new financial year, the 1st of July, 2025. Of course, a great time for new beginnings. We've just had a new moon as well. So new beginnings, now's the time to be going out there with what you want. Now, in the links there, you'll see at the top we have a book launch coming up for our Fear to Freedom co-author book that I have been putting together with Leanne Clune. We have 11 co-authors. July 26 in Sydney, we've got an amazing book launch at Daltone House in Sylvania Waters, 5-star venue. It's going to be an awesome night. Come along. And on July 24, we're doing an Amazon launch of the book, and it will be a free download for 24 hours only on July 24. So keep tabs on our social media. You'll see all of my links there on the socials. Now, my main Facebook account got shut down the other day, a few weeks ago. I had about 20,000 connections on there. Now that's been since June too, so it's nearly a month now. I haven't had that account. So on my link tree there, you'll always find my most current links. You'll see the Facebook accounts I'm currently using, my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. You'll see thousands of inspiring videos on there, some comedy as well to keep you aging happier as well. Check out some of the amazing content we have in Aldwyn Altuney Media Queen TV YouTube channel. The Global Good News Challenge for July has launched today. So anytime within July, you can do a free 7-day Global Good News Challenge, sharing gratitude and good news, helping to lift the energy on the planet and helping to reduce depression and suicide rates. And huge shout out to all of our Good News Crusaders over the last 5 years. We've been doing this challenge every single month. Huge shout out to you. Really appreciate all of our Good News Crusaders. So all the links are there. And I have some great quotes to share. I've got a few quotes because I found some really good ones. We've got one from Betty Friedan here. It's aging is not lost youth, but a new stage of opportunity and strength. That's from Betty Friedan. Another one here from George Bernard Shaw. Love this one. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing.
That's a good one.
Yeah, my last one I'll share with you by Jules Renard. It's not how old you are, but how you are old. It's not how old you are, but how you are old. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Any final words, Fred? Fred, thank you so much. Amazing having you as our guest today. Anything else you want to share?
So the original quote that motto and quote that I was going to do just came to mind. So the first one I did was just kind of like, because I lost what I was going to say, but this one's more in line with what we talked about today. So, and it goes in line with your quotes. So you guys, age is just a number. It's not your identity. Age is just a number. It's not your identity. So when you say your age, it's I'm 49 years young. Look at what I still get to do.
Another one of mine, favorite one is souls are ageless. That's another great saying. I love souls are ageless. Yeah, love that, Ken. Thank you. And Fred, what were you going to say there?
I've got one more.
Yes.
Bring the past into the present. The most important time is now. So
Amen.
Yes.
Love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Look, Fred, I think you're a wonderful example of someone who is aging happy and gracefully. Despite all of your health challenges, you show up with a smile on your dial. You bring so much joy to others. Thank you for all you do with Sing with Fred and everything you've done through your amazing life.
There's a smile on my face for the whole human race.
Yay. Oh, I love it. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to have you on our show again. You were on our episode 6 many moons ago, several years ago, and it's been so great to chat with you again around this topic. And for those, thank you. And for those who've joined us, please let us know. For those who either watch this live or watching the replay, please let us know, what have you got out of this episode so far? What's something that you will be doing to bring some more joy and happiness into your life as you age gracefully, or for some people maybe disgracefully, but have fun while you're doing it either way. Have fun on the journey, and remember to play some more, have some fun. Thank you so much for joining us here on episode 109 of Total Truth Show, the truth about happy aging. Thank you, Fred Zerfas. Thank you, Ken Kleinberg. We'll see you again next time on Total Truth Show. Remember to like us on Facebook, BitChute, Rumble. Check out all our links. Much love to you. We'll see you next time. So long, farewell. Auf Wiedersehen, adieu, 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 to you and you and you. Da, 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 da. Yay. Thank you so much. See you next time.